Hey, this is John. Welcome back to Modern Old School Developer. In this episode, I want to work on making the actors selections work. We got categories working last time, and you can see there is a subtle difference between how we display the actors and how we display the categories. The categories is a set of checkboxes, which means the available categories and their selections are all in the same place. But I've split the actors and the selected actors. And I did that purposefully because it's very difficult to search through a long list of actors, but you're not going to have that many categories. So they're easy to find on this one small section. You're not going to have probably hundreds of categories, but you could well have hundreds of actors. And if I want to go search for someone like Orlando Bloom, it's very easy to start typing in his name and find him wherever he is in this list. It'd be very difficult to do that with just a list of checkboxes. So that's why they're different. All right, and I wanted to point out one little thing I have noticed. I don't know if it's a known bug or a Firefox issue or what, but I was noticing that there's some odd behavior when you click on these, and sometimes it doesn't quite click right. It just makes you click twice before you get into something. And I couldn't figure out why that is. And I didn't even have Chrome installed, but I went and installed it and noticed that it does not happen on Chrome. So whether it's a Firefox problem or a Formic problem, I don't know, but I know that the Formic on blur handler is triggering the issue. Whether it's causing the issue, I can't say for sure. I'm going to ask them about that, but it is triggering the issue. So I have found a little workaround that we're going to work on right now. So let's go into our VS Code. We've got 3 select boxes, and I want to change the way they are set up. So I'm going to scroll down to the select box. And you can see we've got this Formic get field props here. So what that does is it adds the name, the change handler, the blur handler, and something else, I can't remember. But all we need to do is have the name and the onChange handler. So let's set the name to be movie ID and onChange to be formic.handleChange. And we can get rid of that. So we can go copy this and go to the other 2 selects on the other page and change those as well. Just need to copy this and replace that movie actor ID, and same thing over here, and then delete that. And if we do that and I hit refresh, you can now see the behavior works the same in Chrome or Firefox. And since I use Firefox, that's what I want. We don't need the blur handler. It's nice, but since it's breaking some of our behavior, I don't want it in there. So that's the first thing I wanted to note. The second thing is if you go and look at your terminal when you run your npm start, you might notice it says React Hook Use Effect has a missing dependency, Formic. Either include it or remove the dependency array. So that is in our movie list. That's this right here, this list. So you might think it's saying, oh, just put Formic in here. And if we do that, yes, that warning will go away. But it is a huge mistake. You do not want to do that. If you do, it will trigger infinite re-renders because we are changing the Formic property inside here. When we set this values, the values is a property of Formic. So we are circularly setting things if we have Formic as a dependency. It will change, set it again, change, set it again. So even though it says to add that, do not do it. We could rearrange some stuff to extract some of the parameters from Formic so we wouldn't have that dependency, but honestly, it's not a problem unless you just hate the warning. I don't like the warning, but obviously we don't want to trigger that bug and have infinite re-renders. That is way worse. So I'm going to live with the warning at least for now. I may pull those out later, but for now, it's fine. All right, with all of that preamble out of the way, let's get to work on actually making the actors work. So the first thing I want to do is go into the actor selector, and I want to delete this placeholder data. I don't want that to be in there. However, if we go back in there, I don't want to see this empty select box either. If there's no actor selected, let's just say none and not have this select box at all. So how can we do that? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to actually have some state for those selected actors. Now, this is not part of the formic state because the formic state is just the state of the form. The options for the form is not part of the state of the form. And we didn't put that in our global useReducer state either. All we have is actors. So we need to add that to our global state. So let's go into our types for state, and let's go ahead and add that. I'm going to say actors selected, and we'll say it's an array of actor types, just like the actors. Then we'll go into our state for our initial state, and we'll set actors selected to be an empty array. By default, we won't have any actors selected. So going back to the actor selected component, we need to selectively render this select. So let's open up a JavaScript thing, and we need to say state.actorsSelected, and notice it's putting this question mark in here for me. This is saying that the state might be undefined, so it's helpfully adding the question mark for me. However, that's a problem because if I say state undefined and I say actor selected, this whole thing could be undefined. And we don't want that. We need to see if actor selected has something. So we know actor selected, if it exists, will always have at least an empty array. Can we say the same thing for state? Well, if we go into our state context, you can see we defined it as undefined. That's why it's telling me state could be undefined. However, if we open up our app component, we can see that when we first get our state context provider, we give it initial value. So, in reality, state is never undefined, except for that very brief time when we create the context. But as soon as we actually provide the context, we give it that value. I find it a little bit confusing to put the initial value inside the state here, because then you have to provide it in the value anyway, and then I'm thinking, well, why are we providing it in two places? It doesn't make sense to me. So rather than do that, I'm going to leave this as undefined. So that leaves us with two options for how to handle this. The first one would be saying state and. Then we can leave out that question mark and guarantee we have actor selected. That's a little verbose though, so one other option is to do state bang. If I do state bang, I'm saying I am telling Typescript there will be a value here, and because that state context provider assigns the value, I do know there'll be a value and it will never be undefined once we hit this component. So this is what I'm going to do, but those were our other options, either changing this to not be undefined and defining the state here, or putting state and there. So this is going to be my solution. So going back to this, do we have any actors selected? If we do, we're going to render this select component. And if we do not, we're going to render an h3 tag that says none. In fact, actually, I'm going to put that inside a div, and the div is going to have a class name of border green 500. Then the h3 tag will have a class name of text center, text large, font bold. I think that's it. Yeah, that looks right. So let's see if that did what I expected. Hey, there we go. We don't have any actors selected. They are none. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. So over inside this select, we need to render it if we had selected actors. So we're going to copy this right here, which is the actors map, but we're going to replace actors with actors selected, and everything else is the exact same. So this will render our options, should we have any. So the next thing we need to do is be able to set our actors selected when we select a movie. So let's go to the movie list component, And we've got these set values here. But remember, that's not part of our form state. So we actually need to create a dispatch action for this. So let's head over to our state. Let's close a couple of these. We'll go into our state types, and we're going to make some new actions. So I'm going to say we have a new action for set actors selected. Then we'll have a set actors selected action. And then we need to create that. So we'll have a set actors selected action. And our type is going to be set actor selected. There we go. There are all of our types for our dispatcher. So let's go into our reducer function and let's create that function. So we're going to have case actions.setActorsSelected, and we're going to return the spread of the state with actors selected being action.payload. Okay, there we go. We can now have a dispatch action which sets our actors that are selected. So going back into movie list, we can now add this right here. So we can say dispatch, and the type is going to be actions.setActorsSelected, and the payload is going to be data.actors. And I know it says actors here, but this is the actors that are associated with the movie data we just fetched. So this is the selected actors. So that should be okay. And we can put dispatch down here. That's not a value we're changing within our function. So it's okay to put that here to avoid the warning we'll get from Webpack or whatever it is. All right, so now that we can set our state and we get our state on the selection, how are we going to change our state? Well, to do that, we're going to need to make some endpoints. So let's go ahead and go into our backend. Let's open up main, and let's open up the CRUD because we'll need to make some functions too. So inside main, it's going to be very much like the movie category we made last time. So why don't we just separate these endpoints a little bit, and we'll say this is the movie category endpoints, and this is going to be the movie actor endpoints. So I'm going to copy this entire thing, both endpoints of model category. And now let's set about modifying them. Okay, so now let's change all these categories to actors. And I think that should fix all of these. So there we go. And do we have any more categories? I think there's just the one. Yeah, so we'll change this to actor ID. All right, so if we look at this, we're going to make a new post endpoint, a movie actor endpoint. We'll return a 404 if we don't find something. We'll add a movie actor ID based on the movie ID and the actor ID. We'll set the CRUD function to be add movie actor. We'll define that in a minute. If the movie is none, we didn't get one back, we'll return the 404 error. Otherwise, we return our updated movie. All right, so we're going to do the same thing over here in the delete. We're going to highlight category, 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 and replace those with movie, or sorry, actor. And again, there's just this one category here, so we'll replace that with actor. And so now our new delete endpoint is for our movie actor. Same response type, actor ID here, delete movie actor, which we'll make in a minute. We've got our status. Yep, if we don't get one back. Okay, so that looks good for our endpoints. So let's go into CRUD and let's copy our add and remove categories. So here's our add movie category. Let's copy that and we'll change that to add movie actor. So category, 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 category. There we go. And do we have any? Not until we get there, but is there any? Let me open the outline so I can find that again. Add movie actor. Yeah, we've got one category. So you need to change that to actors. Okay, that should be good. You can see it doesn't know this get actor function. We haven't defined that yet either. So let's go ahead and define that. So if we go down to, where is it? Get category. Yeah, let's copy this. And we're going to change this. Let's change this to actor. I guess only one category here. I guess the rest of them are all capital categories. Okay, whatever. There we go. Okay, pretty easy change. Okay, so get actor returns an actor. We query for the actors table, filter by the actor ID, matching our ID, and get the first one. Okay, so that should fix our add movie category function. So now we need, or add a movie actor. Now we need to make the delete movie actor, which should be, okay, right around here. So here's our delete movie category. Let's copy this, and once again, we're going to change category to actor. And change categories to actors. Let's stop searching. Okay, so the first time we get category, all is down there. So that should be good. So I think that handles our endpoints. We now have our add and delete endpoints. So let's go ahead and close that. And let's go back to our actor selected component. So the next thing that I want to do is make it so that we can actually add and remove actors. So how is that going to work? Well, what I want to do is if we double click or press enter on the available list, it will add that to our selected list. And if we double click or add one to our selected list, we'll remove it and put it on our, or we'll remove it from the selected list. And this box is back. I thought that we had gotten rid of it, but it's here. I'm starting to think empty arrays are not falsy. Okay, hang on one second. Let's go fix that real quick. What do we have here? So I was saying actor selected, if we have that. So let's say length greater than 0. Length greater than 0. Okay, so does that work? Okay, that works. I thought empty arrays were falsy. Well, apparently I must be wrong about that. Okay, moving on. So we need to make some new handlers. We need to make not an on-change handler, but an on-double-click handler. And we're going to make a function. We do not need any parameters for this function. We don't need the event. We are going to run a function. So I'm going to say if we have the formic value of movie, is this selected? This is selected. So if we have this movie actor selected ID, we're going to run the function on update actor. This will be a helper function we call to select or deselect our actor. So we're going to call this with two parameters. The first one is going to be the value of the selected ID. And the second one will be either true or false. So over here, it's going to be false because we're going to say this is the adding property. If this Boolean is true, it means we are adding the actor. If the Boolean is false, we are removing the actor. So deselecting. So I might even call it selected. So selected is false here, that will be true in the other one. So let's go ahead and save that. And let's copy this on double click up to the other one. But this time it's going to be, we're going to make two changes. This is going to be true because it is selected, and this should be movie actor available ID. Okay, so now all we have to do is make this on update actor function, which we can write right over here. So const on update actor equals an arrow function where we have an ID, which is, it's a string right here. So our function parameters are going to be an ID, which is the string, and selected, which is a Boolean. Okay, and then we make our arrow function. So what is this going to do? It's actually going to be remarkably similar to our category function we used in the last episode. So why don't we go grab that and copy that in here. So here is our category selector. So let's just copy this whole thing here, and we'll go over here. And okay, so if, this needs to be an async function, make sure that's async. So if our format value movie ID, if we have a movie ID, we don't want to do anything if we have no movie ID, then we're going to make new URL search params. So I see category ID, that should be actor ID. And then we've got this movie category, and that should be movie actor. And I think those are the only changes we need to make. Yeah, that should be good. So because we are managing the entire state of the categories in our application, we didn't need the returned movie from this. But here it's going to be very helpful. So if we get const data equals await JSON, this is our movie object. And that means it's going to have our updated actors, which we can use to update our form data. So let's see here. That means if response.ok, we are going to dispatch, and the type is going to be an actions.setActorsSelected, and the payload is going to be data.actors. Okay, I believe that's everything. Let's go make sure everything is running okay. Looks okay right now, so let's go see if it actually works. So we'll hit refresh over here. I'll select a movie. Let's double click Angela Bassett. Hey, she shows up. Angela Lansbury? Arnold? Sure. Christian Bale? Whatever. Can we remove them? Yes. Remove that one, that one, that one, and all of them. Hey, I think it might be working. If we scroll away, yep, it goes back to none, and then, yep, we can choose them again. All right, hey, that works. I did tell you though, we also wanted to add it so that we could move down the list with the enter key, with the arrows, and then hit enter. We can't do that yet because we have no enter handler. So let's go make one of those as well. So let's go back into our actor selected, whatever it is, actor selector, and we'll go down to this. So we need an on key press handler, I think. Yeah. So let's see here. We'll say on key press equals a function. This time we are going to need the event, which I'll just call E, and we are going to do what? So if the event code triple equals the string enter, meaning it's the enter key, then we will do on update actor, and it's going to be this basically. So I guess we need to also make sure we have this. So there we go. Let's see here. Oh, I put that in the wrong place. That's why it was weird. Okay. So if we have our, if the key press is an enter and we have an available ID, then update the actor. So let's do the same thing for the selected one, but we're just going to change this to selected ID. So let's see if that works as well. So I go over here, if I hit enter, yep, on this list, that didn't work so well. What did I do wrong there? I said true, not false. Okay, that should work. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I think that takes care of everything in the actors section. So yeah, looking pretty good. So this is effectively handling all the front-end and back-end state for our application. So it effectively allows us to update any part of it and get that back. All right, right, well, that's a pretty good wrapping up point for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. If you did, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Help us grow. And I will see you in the next video, where we will do something other than state management, I think. Probably. I guess we'll find out. Thanks for watching.